of celebration. We're grateful in the brilliance of life's perfection. We're grateful for the blessings already given. In the goodness of God we're living, in the finished kingdom of heaven, and all is well. All is well. All is
Okay, I'm so glad you're here and choose to spend the morning with us. My name is Randy. I am a spiritual practitioner here at Genesis, and I'll be your host today. Our online host is, I don't know, maybe all you people online can host each other. If you're watching on Facebook, please say hello to everyone in the comments, share your reactions, and make a connection. Please join me in reading our mission and vision statements. Mission. All right. We are building a vibrant community, cultivating a garden of spiritual growth, honoring vulnerability, creating a safe place of comfort and peace where all are welcome and accepted. Vision. Okay. Genesis is a bright beacon with an unshakable heart of love, accepting all, a home for the soul where we each creatively express our spiritual brilliance. I hope you see and experience that you celebrate with us today. Okay. Announcements. We have name tags available at the welcome table to help foster connections. Please feel free to grab one at any time. We're still looking for greeters for the door as part of our volunteer welcome team. Please see Cynthia if you are interested in signing up. Reclaiming Joy After Loss will be meeting after service on Zoom at noon today. This caring, safe support group helps mend the heart of anyone experiencing the loss of a loved one or any other major change or transformation. Walk with CSL in the Pride Parade. Join Genesis CSL as we walk with CSL Seattle in the Seattle Pride Parade on Sunday, June 29th from 12 to 4 p.m. Celebrate love, inclusion, and spiritual community. More info and sign up at the Volunteer Center, our counter too. Our Genesis Visioning session will meet every first Thursday. Look for the Zoom address in your emails. Book study will be meeting after service and reading The Four Spiritual Laws of Prosperity by Edwene Gaines. No book, no problem. We share, and she's a woman of power. Okay. So I'm so glad to see everyone here. It doesn't look like we have the first-time guests, but if you're watching at home and you're a first-time guest, welcome. So we know that everyone, let's see. Okay. We know everyone prefers a different method of communication, so you can fill out a comment card or comment online, and we will connect with you later. Just to open up this personal line of communication, we want to provide important information and give you everything you need to learn about Genesis and what we do here. And then if you're here, stop by the welcome table and you can ask and any questions you want, and maybe you get a free gift. So it's worth showing up. All right, now that we've welcomed our guests, let us welcome and greet one another. If you aren't comfortable with hugging, just stick out your hand and we'll shake it instead. Namaste hands are a great choice for contactless greeting. You may stay seated if you prefer not to mingle. Reverend Rose will remain seated, holding our community in a consciousness of love and support. So let's get up and greet each other. Okay, I'd like to take this time to thank everyone in service today. So we got setup and cleanup crew. That whole back row. That's our setup and cleanup crew. Okay, so, pardon? Lori too, yay. Okay, so morning greeter, we got Reverend Rose, and now she's in vigil also. On projector and video, we got Eric. Offering collection, we got Gideon. It's on sound, we've got Jim. Service practitioner, me. Okay. So I just want to thank everyone in service today. So we're so grateful for those who show up in service on Sundays. We could not pull this all together without you. If you would like to be a part of Genesis service team, please contact or connect with Gideon after the service or inquire at the welcome table. So remain seated and join in singing our centering song, Breathe and Turn Within.
I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I breathe and turn within. I
with my sinister approach to the gong. Yes. Okay, my name is Randy. I'm your practitioner, and I'll be doing a reading here and then some prayer. So, I'm looking for the short ones. Loose the consciousness, not lose. 339 in Living the Science of Mind, if you're following along at home. It is certain that none of us receive as much benefit from this science as we might. We do not permit our consciousness to range in the field of greater possibilities. A certain time should be taken each day for the enlargement of consciousness. This is done by reminding our imagination that the field with which it deals is limitless. The mind is the creator and the sustainer. The mind is infinite, ever available, and always responsive to us. There should never be any sense of finality in our self-discovery. No matter how much good we experience today, we should expect more tomorrow. Expectancy always speeds progress. Anticipation of better yet to come helps to dissolve the overload of burdens which we now carry with us. We must learn to loose our consciousness. Nothing is too good to be true. The kingdom of harmony is already in ever-present reality. But as far as we are concerned, it wants to be perceived, and only as much good as can come to us as we are mentally ready to receive. We must increase our receptivity continuously and extend and expand our comprehension. So let's go into this prayer right here and right now. So I just know right here and right now that we expand our comprehension, expand our receptivity to know that God is right here, right now, within us, without us, and around us, in each person, in each thing, and in each moment, and the space between. And I know that as we loose our grip on reality, we step into the creativity and the expansion and the goodness that is God, that is this life, and we can live in positivity, expectancy, and joy. And I know it's already happening, it's already in action, and we can let go of the inaction and step into the life that is good. And remember, it's a lot about remembering each day that we step into this grace, this gift, this bounty that is life, and it is good. And I say, thank you, God, and so it is. Okay, so now we have some more beautiful music from Chris Sullivan and James Cochran.
One power, one power, one power. There's one power invisible, and you see it everywhere in everything. One power indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth. As simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angel's wings, or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power. We speak so many languages, have different clothing, different colors, different names. dangerous when we forget that in the heart we're all the same. We'll remember once we close our eyes to see that such distances were never meant to be. Call it God, call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Hashem, or heaven's door. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul, or it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth, or Father Time. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. Oh, it's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power. It's the moment of creation. It's an everlasting peace. It's the freedom of forgiveness. It's the sweetness of release. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunshine on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's the beauty of a baby. The serenity of sleep. It's the anger we abandon. For his love is most deep. It's one power. It's one power. It's the power of the love that lives in you and me. It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power.
Thank you for that amazing song, James and Chris. One power everywhere present. So happy solstice. This is the longest Sunday of the year. We have 15 hours and 59 minutes of sunshine today. It's also Corpus Christi Sunday, a holiday that we didn't celebrate in my Unitarian Universalist church, but it's the holiday where we celebrate in the communion, where you have the wine and the wafer, and that they actually transmute themselves to become Jesus, to become Christ, to become God. And so this is something we see, and we'll talk about today, seeing God in everyone, seeing God in everything. And I think Corpus Christi is a way, whoever celebrates it, many Catholics celebrate Corpus Christi, where they get to see the God in their church service, and they get to ingest God. Just as we ingest God with every breath, we ingest and radiate God. Everyone can do that. So we've got more consciousness of God everywhere, love everywhere. Today we're talking about embracing the power of vulnerability and connection. In fact, let's say this together a couple of times. I embrace the power of vulnerability and connection. I embrace the power of vulnerability and connection. And this is really a way to go about living your life. We're going to talk about different ways people do it. I'm first going to start out with a quote from The Color Purple. So this is written by Alice Walker. We've been listening to conversations between, I think Cece is the star, is the main protagonist, and Shug, who is sort of a Beyonce-like character who sweeps into her ordinary life, sweeps into the town. Maybe an Oprah-like character, somebody who's artistic and very thoughtful. And in this, we start off with her husband, who she calls Mr. Then he says something that really surprised me because it's so thoughtful and common sense. When it comes to what folks do together with their bodies, he say, anybody's guess is as good as mine. But when you talk about love, I don't have to guess. I have love, and I have been loved. And I thank God it let me gain understanding enough to know love can't be halted just because some people moan and groan. It don't surprise me you love Shug Avery. I have loved Shug Avery my whole life. What load of bricks fell on you, I say. No bricks, he say, just experience. You know, everybody bound to get some experience sooner or later. All you have to do is stay alive. And I start to get mine real heavy long about the time I told Shug it was true that I beat you because you was you and not her. I told her, I say. I know it, he's saying. I don't blame you. If a mule could tell folks how it was treated, it would. So this is sort of the transformation of their relationship where they actually, she sort of moves into forgiveness and he moves into behaving differently. So by opening into vulnerability and accepting the way they are, they can transform their relationship. Ernest Holmes says there is one spirit, one mind, one substance, and that one is manifesting in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by creation. Imagine how the world might transform if we saw the divinity in everyone and everything every day. So this week we're going to talk about unity and diversity. And recognizing our divine connection often requires vulnerability. And I'm going to talk about a book which Cynthia Zink recommended to me, The Dharma in Difficult Times, Finding Your Calling in Times of Loss, Change, Struggle, and Doubt by Stephen Cope. And what he does, he's actually written a few books where he starts from the Bhagavad Gita and then takes the message of the Bhagavad Gita and shows how it has affected or applies to people who have changed our world more recently. So the Bhagavad Gita was written 2,300 years ago in northern India, and it is literally the story of the Pandavas, and it's a story of a war between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. Arjuna is the hero, and he is somebody who wants to become prince of a city, but his cousins and his family don't want him to be because they want to take over ruling the city. They want to use that city and use the rulership to enrich themselves, for the glory of themselves instead of for enriching the people and being good governors. And they're about to have a war. And Arjuna doesn't want to have a war, but he is on the thorns of a dilemma. The problem is, if he doesn't fight them, the kingdom will be ruled by his. Oh, let's move to one of the slides. That's the one. So here he is in the middle of the battlefield, and there's his side, and there's the other side. And these are all his lifelong companions, his friends from birth, his cousins, his uncles, and they're all arrayed against him because they want to use the kingdom for their own personal enrichment. And he wants to rule justly and use the kingdom to make life easier for people. Now he represents us. He is sort of an every person, where we want to, our real selves, our true selves want to do well, want to do good, but who are the Kauravas? Who are the bad guys? It's our bad habits. It's awful thoughts. It's people who come into our life and are bad influences on us. But we love them. We love our bad habits. We've had them our whole life. When we talk about the survival brain and the thriving brain, our bad habits are a survival brain, and they want to cling on to everything they can, and they don't think about the greater good. They just think about me, survive. And Arjuna wants to be the thriving brain. So what does Arjuna do? What the book is about is Krishna, who is Arjuna's mentor. And unbeknownst, Arjuna just thinks Krishna's a wise man who has blue skin for some reason. No, Hindu gods are often shown as having blue skin to represent the fact that they are from spirit. So Krishna is an incarnation of Vishnu, and the Hindu gods have three main gods. I mean, they have thousands of gods, but three main ones. Brahma is the god of creation, so Brahma is always creating new things. And Shiva is the god of transformation. Shiva destroys and transforms things. And then Vishnu is the god of the now, of here, of preservation. And so Krishna is trying to make good happen in the world. And he does it by advising Arjuna. And the book is a series of dialogues between Arjuna and Krishna. There are two main points that we get out of it. One of them is Krishna says, you can use me for anything. I use weapons more powerfully. I can kill as many of your opponents as I want. And Arjuna said, no, I want you to be my charioteer. I want you to be my guide. So instead of using, Krishna represents spirit within. Instead of using spirit within as a powerful weapon against our opponents, which is what the survival brain would probably want, we use it for guidance to make sure that we're in the right place at the right time, that when we find what is ours to do, and we find ourselves, when we're in the right place and the right time, we're more powerful, we're more potent, we can make a big difference. Let's switch to the other. So there is Krishna with his blue skin and Arjuna next to him, and you see Arjuna has made Krishna into his charioteer, so he's guiding him. And this is what we want to do. We want to be guided by spirit, guided by our higher selves. So I'm going to jump to, and I want to talk about Arjuna demonstrates actually, the second thing Krishna says is you always want to do your duty, but you don't want to be attached to the results. So his advice is not only look to me for guidance, but the particular guidance I'm giving you is perform the right action, but don't be attached to the results. Know that the results might be something different. We talk about this with regards to prayer. In my experience, prayer always manifests. It always comes true, but it rarely comes in the precise way we wanted it to, precise way we were picturing. God has much better ideas, has bigger ideas, has more generous, more powerful ideas than our tiny little human brain. And if we can drop back and release into that will give us, that gives us the power, that gives us a better prayer outcome than we would otherwise have said. I think Arjuna's also in the situation in the 12 steps of alcoholism. At first he recognizes he has a problem. His problem in fighting in the battlefield is bigger than he can handle. But he knows there is a higher power. There can be, he's willing to believe in a higher power that can help him handle it. And he's willing to give up his egoic attachment to struggle and to give over his faith, his life and direction to the higher power, which is Krishna in the driver's seat. So jumping forward 2,000 years to 1846, Concord, Massachusetts. This is where Ralph Waldo Emerson lived. And Ralph Waldo Emerson was, he was a big friend of he wasn't literally a friend of Ernest Holmes. Ernest Holmes would never go anywhere without his book of Emerson. He had Emerson on his bedside table all the time. He was really inspired by Emerson. Emerson was one of his first spiritual inspirations, mentors, guides. Emerson's messages, he very powerfully saw God everywhere in everything. And so he walked through a magical world where there was godness surrounding him and everyone. And in particular, he saw God inside us. He said the most important place to look for God is inside yourself. And those brilliant ideas and those thoughts and guidance you have, if you lean into the guidance from God, Krishna, in 2,300 years ago, then you'll never go wrong. But maybe don't be attached to the outcome. Just know that you want to do the right thing. So Henry David Thoreau was a young friend of Ralph Waldo Emerson. He grew up in the same town as Emerson, and so he knew him daily. And in 1846, the U.S. was invading Mexico. And Thoreau, along with many of his fellow New Englanders, found this to be an abomination. And he did not want to participate. And he's like, what can I do to not participate? And he thought, I've got to speak out against the war. I've got to do something against the war. And he was going to town one day. His shoes had broken, and so he brought them to the cobbler to be fixed, and they were fixed, so he was coming to pick them up. And on the way, he saw the tax collector. And the tax collector said, "Oh, you owe your taxes." And Thoreau was like, well, wait a minute. Those taxes are going to go to the government, and the government is supporting that war against Mexicans. I can't do that. I can't pay that. And the tax collector said, oh, are you hard up? I can loan you the money. He says, no, it's not right. My soul says I cannot give money to support this war against Mexicans. And the way tax collecting worked in those days was it was tax farming. And so the government told the tax collector how much money he was responsible for giving to them. They told him how many taxes he had to collect, and then he could use any means at his disposal to get those taxes and collect them. So he had to pay Emerson's taxes whether Emerson did or not. And he loved Emerson. He was like 29-year-old. He'd grown up with him his whole life. He's like, I'll just pay it for you. He's like, absolutely not. You cannot pay my taxes for me. I'm taking a stand against, this war against Mexicans. And he said, well, then you have to go to jail. He said, fine, I'll go to jail. And so they were walking to jail, and he brought him into jail, and the police were like, oh, really, to jail for you can't pay your taxes? We'll pay it for you. He's like, no. I'm standing, it's on principle. I've got to, it's for the Mexicans. So they put him in a jail cell, and he met the other person in the jail cell, and they had a lovely conversation. And then the guy went out because he had work release, so he got to go to work all day and then come back into jail at night while he was awaiting trial. And Emerson got to sit in the jail cell, and he saw the God in that fellow. He saw what a fine fellow he was. And he saw the God in, when the jail people brought him his meals, he thought how wonderful they were and how there was God in the food. He'd lived in Concord, Massachusetts his whole life, and he'd never been inside the jail cell. He's like, geez, this is nice. It's quiet, nobody's bugging me, I can meditate. I can look out the window and get a view of Concord that I've never seen before, and I can hear the sounds. I can hear the sounds of Concord through the barred windows. So I thought, boy, this is, doing the right thing is not so hard. And then he got a lovely night's sleep after a delicious dinner from the jail people. And in the morning, they let him out. And he said, no. I'm not going to pay my taxes. And they're like, no, your Aunt Mary paid for you. He's like, Aunt Mary. So when he was in jail, word was going around the town, Henry David Thoreau is in jail, and he's doing it because he can't pay his taxes. And Aunt Mary was like, what? No nephew of mine is going to be in jail. And she went to pay the taxes, and the tax collector said, he told me not to collect them. He said, you are going to collect them. He said, okay. Henry David Thoreau knew that Aunt Mary was a force of nature. He was not going to unpay his taxes. So he came out of jail, and then he's like, oh, I guess I can get my new shoes at the cobbler. So he went to the cobbler and got his new shoes. And then there were a bunch of kids who wanted to go on a huckleberry expedition, and he knew where the best fields were. So he took the kids and brought them huckleberrying, and they collected buckets and buckets of them. And he sent most of them home, but he brought some home for himself. And then he went and he wrote a little magazine article called Civil Disobedience, which he published, which detailed the story about how you should follow your conscience. And it wasn't, at first it wasn't a big hit. It didn't make much of a difference, or not many people saw it. But in 1866, it was published, and it was huge. It spread all over the United States. It spread all around the world. Everybody was looking at civil disobedience because they could see the government didn't do what they wanted to do, and nonviolence seemed like a really unique and powerful approach to it. We know specifically Gandhi had read Civil Disobedience, and he brought it with him to jail. Gandhi spent many years in jail in, working for freedom and equality in South Africa, where they had a caste system, and then in India, also where they were oppressed by the British. I guess in South Africa they were oppressed by the British, but he mostly fought for the right of non-white people to have equal rights. In India, he used that. So when Gandhi reported that when he was in the jail cell, he did his best meditation, he did his best writing, he blessed the food, he found all the convicts were wonderful, and he blessed the food and enjoyed the food, except when he was fasting, and then he enjoyed the lack of food in jail, and he found lots of godness in that. And he was really inspired by civil disobedience. I mean, when I was reading it, I thought, it wouldn't really be so bad to be in jail with this consciousness. I know my brother-in-law went to jail during the WTO riots. And there were a lot of things he liked about jail. He liked all the inmates because a lot of them were WTO people. They all said, when they asked them who you are, they said, John WTO. But my brother-in-law is French, and so he said, Jean Watteau. And he actually got other people saying Jean Watteau because it sounds cooler than John WTO. He didn't like the food, and he didn't think it was super comfortable. But I also don't think he'd read Civil Disobedience, and he wasn't looking for the godness. But he was finding the godness in the companionship of his fellow cellmates. Martin Luther King Jr. also read Civil Disobedience, and he spent a lot of time in jail, and he also, I think, because of the ideas of civil disobedience, they really transformed the stay in the jail cell. Instead of thinking he was being punished and oppressed, he felt like he got to be here with all these people who had, there was God in the people, there was God in the jail cells, there were even God in the bitter, angry jailers. He could see the God even in them. He felt the God in the food, and he did a lot of his best writing. Letter from Selma, I think, is something he wrote in jail. So he found when he was out of jail, he was so busy organizing demonstrations and people, he didn't have time to meditate and write. But in jail, he had all the time in the world. So thank you, Henry David Thoreau, for that. And you can see he exhibits the trait vulnerability, recognizing that we are all fallible human beings. We are imperfect. that we accept, we have complete acceptance of what the reality of the situation is. We don't go to jail thinking that we're not going to jail. We know that the law requires us to go to jail, and so that's where we go, unconditional acceptance. And then seeing the God in everyone and everything is something that they all could do. So right now, I'd like us to do a brief meditation. So let's just open. Let's take a deep inhalation into our hearts. And let's feel a feeling of appreciation in our hearts. Appreciation for whoever wrote the Bhagavad Gita, for the characters of Arjuna and Krishna, and the idea of doing what is ours to do without attachment to results. Appreciation for Emerson and for Henry David Thoreau, and how he was willing to write about his adventure in Concord, Massachusetts, 180 years ago, doing what was right on his conscience, and bringing the power of a thing done well into the world. And grateful for Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. for demonstrating the power of nonviolence in our lives and in the present. And we feel that love. We feel that connection. We feel that ease of knowing that God is always there. Love is always there, always present, powerful, supporting, nurturing, and embracing us. And as we lean further back into that love, we feel our muscles relax. We feel our minds relax. We feel our defensives and our armor dropping away as we find ourselves vulnerable, unconditionally accepting, and we feel the Godness radiating from us. And we feel it radiating from our neighbors and radiating from everywhere in the world. We feel a world alive with Godness. As we lean back and feel its presence. And whenever you're ready, take another deep breath into your heart. Return your awareness into this time and place. And open your eyes. Ernest Holmes said in the Sermon by the Sea, "True strength comes from choosing to be for something. Those with whom we disagree offer us the chance to remember and embody the principle, and embracing the opportunity to engage with empathy and understanding." So when you find people disagreeing with you, notice they're providing you the opportunity to engage with empathy and understanding. Also, wisdom and boundaries. There's not everybody in the world who you want to engage in that way with, but there are people who you know, who your intuition tells you they honestly feel one way, you honestly feel another way, and it's a way to explore your beliefs as well as their beliefs. Rumi said, come out of the circle of time and into the circle of love. And it's interesting, I was reading, how does Rumi come up with all these crazy things? One of the things he used to do is something I used to do as a little kid, and I suspect many of you used to do, is he would spin around. And he would spin around and think thoughts of God. And then when he fell down because he was so dizzy, he would come up with these crazy statements. I was actually using the technique. I was using it on my, I didn't want to fall down, so I just spun around my office chair. And I got dizzy and I got some good ideas, but I wasn't Rumi. So come out of the circle of time and into the circle of love. And this is right, because, time is our survival brain. Time is our storyteller brain, keeping track of things. And the circle of love lives in timelessness, lives in eternity and infinity. And so we can move our consciousness from the circle of time to the circle of love. And I think that's what Thoreau had us do in civil disobedience. When he went into jail, he let go of wanting any particular result, which he had to, because Aunt Mary was going to get what she wanted to get. She was living in the circle of time. But he got to live in the circle of love for a whole day in the jail cell, and then write about it and inspire other people that jail doesn't have to be a punishment. Jail can be an opportunity to live in an ashram, your own ashram, with your own, fellow sannyasins in the ashram, all looking for God together. So anyway, I want to encourage you to have a wonderful solstice. Enjoy all 15 hours and 59 minutes of daylight today. Remember Corpus Christi Day, that today is a day when more people are seeing God everywhere, God in our physical universe, God in substances. And remember to take right action without attachment to results. Results are great, but I actually find that when I'm not attached to results, I do better at getting results. Maybe because then I'm more flexible about what I'm going to get. I'm not attached to these particular results. So let's say this affirmation again twice. I embrace the power of vulnerability and connection. I embrace the power of vulnerability and connection. And we do. This is something that can carry us through the day, and as we see Godness, we can open up to our own. The truth of our being is our vulnerability. We don't have to pretend to be something else. So I'm going to encourage you. It is prayer time. Actually, I'm going to briefly promote. I'm still a fan. I have more. I'm running low, but I'm not out of car wash tickets. It's $12 to get a car wash, a Brown Bear car wash. It has a list of 30 different places where this is the kind where you drive through. I am enjoying having more and more of my cars being beautiful. I've given Christy the ticket, but her car is still dirty, and so I have to encourage her. But I'm enjoying having clean cars. They're $12, and every penny goes to Genesis because the tickets have been donated. So if anybody wants to have clean cars or knows people who you'd like to have clean cars, it's sort of a neat way. I mean, I loved having my dirty car, but I really appreciate my car more that it's clean, and I think other people do too. So we've got prayer cards, and on one side it's got a demonstration, and so I always encourage people to start with a demonstration. Anything you've ever manifested in your life, or anything anything that impresses you that anyone has manifested, I think is a great demonstration. It comes from thought to manifestation, and that makes your prayers much more powerful. And then for your prayers, you can pray for the world, you can pray for peace, you can pray for anything you like, a prayer of celebration, a prayer of need. The prayers all go to the practitioners who pray over them all week, bringing the prayer into the power of eternity and the power of God. So these prayer cards are powerful symbols, and they're really powerful manifesting tools. They're great spiritual technology. And now we have more wonderful music from Chris and James.
Is this all you want? Is this how it is? Trying to love in armor to save our skins. Do we need control? Do we need these walls? Come on, let your guard down, 'cause I want it all. And I've been keeping it all inside of me. You've been afraid of the fall, but if you wanna fall, just let me in. If you shine a light on the world you hide, I'll show you where my shadows lie. If you drag it all into the light tonight, and so will I. Pour my secrets out like water, lay the pieces out before you. Drag it all into the light tonight, and so will I. So will I. Even when I break, even when you're crashing, we can both be broken in a torn up fashion. In the silence, here in the dark, we can be all that we really are. You really are all I need. If you shine a light on the world you hide, I'll show you where my shadows lie. If you drag it all into the light tonight, and so will I. Pour my secrets out like water, lay the pieces out before you. Drag it all into the light tonight, and so will I. So will I. And I've been keeping it all inside of me. You've been afraid of the fall, but if you wanna fall, just let me in. If you shine a light on the world you hide, I'll show you where my shadows lie. If you drag it all into the light tonight, and so will I. Pour my secrets out like water, lay the pieces out before you. Drag it all into the light tonight, and so will I. If you shine a light on the world you hide, I'll show you where my shadows lie. If you drag it all into the light tonight, and so will
Okay. Genesis is a community dedicated to love, inspiring harmony, and creating connections to empower spiritual growth. And we love that you're here to share it with us. This is an invitation to participate in circulation, to connect with abundance and generosity. Your participation makes this possible. We truly appreciate your support. Let us take a moment to craft our financial gift. If you're on Facebook, please visit our website at genesiscsl.org, or you can text your tithes to 206-800-7595. So let's just take a moment here to craft our gift. Okay, and so we'll just hold this to our hearts and say the offering blessing. Through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am thankful. And I'm so choked up about all that. Okay, so Gideon will now collect the offering and prayer cards. While he does that, please stand and sing Stepping into the Flow.
I'm stepping into the flow, giving and receiving, blessing that I know I'm a part of something bigger, in awe of all I am, so grateful. I'm stepping into the flow. I'm stepping into the flow, giving and receiving, blessing that I know I'm a part of something bigger, in awe of all I am, so grateful. I'm stepping into the flow, so grateful. I'm stepping into the flow.
Okay, so we just take this moment to know and bless these prayers, know that they are being prayed on and brought into manifestation, knowing that it is revealed perfect time, perfect action, perfect being. And I know that these donations, all these prayers and all this sharing of goodness and money and everything is coming together in perfect time, in perfect action, perfect being, knowing that it is the seed for the flower, for the plant. It primes the pump of goodness, knowing that Genesis is powerful and vibrant and bountiful. And each of us is that manifestation as we share it out in the world, and it is good. And I say thank you, God, and so it is. All right, so thank you for joining us today. Please join us after service for food and fellowship. I will be in the alcove over here for those who would like to pray with a spiritual practitioner. We're just wishing everyone a week filled with joy, love, and true connection. So stand and sing our closing song, I Release.
God. faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit